is up, everyone? Welcome to the very first Let's Talk Penguins podcast. I am your host, Austin. I am joined here today by Connor.
Hi, guys.
And by Lexi.
Hi.
So this is something that has been in the works for a long time, and we are excited to finally jumpstart it and get this going. So to begin, we're just going to introduce ourselves and give a little background about each and one of us. So I guess I'll go first. We're going to talk about how we got into Let's Talk Pens and how we started writing it and how we found it. So, for myself, I was in a group chat on Twitter with a bunch of random people that I don't even know half of them. And Cody, who owns Let's Talk Pens and created it, he runs a Twitter account, he was in it. And I saw one day that they were looking for writers. So I sent him a DM asking him, what I needed to do and all this, and wrote him a little article, and he approved of it, and yeah, it's been history ever since. I think I joined in December of this season, so not too long. So if Connor, you want to go next?
All right, so I have been following them on Twitter. I'm not sure how long, but around the beginning of this year, I saw that they were looking for more writers. I sent Cody a DM. He told me to send them a sample. And yeah, I started writing from there and had a few stuff out.
My story is pretty much the same. I was on Twitter, and I'm not sure how long I was following Let's Talk Pens, but I saw that Cody had tweeted that he might have an opportunity for anyone who is interested in writing. And I passed up on it at first because I was nervous. I didn't want to do it. And then I got really mad at the Pens game, and I was just like, screw it, I'm doing it. So I DM'd Cody, he asked me for a sample, and he approved. And that was about mid-season.
Yeah, so I know for me, I'm a freshman in college, I go to Pitt, so I always wanted to do something with sports journalism, and I was going to do that as a major, but at the Pitt branch campus I go to, that's not a thing. So I figured I would write for the newspaper there at school, still do sports, still do journalism. But it happened that they would meet on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and those were the same days that we had hockey practice. So for me, joining Let's Talk Pens was another way to explore my hobbies while still giving me the flexibility that I needed. I don't know about you guys, so if you guys want to talk about your hockey background, if you guys played, if you guys play now.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with that. I've been playing since I was 7. Started playing goalie when I was 8, and I played in Pittsburgh my whole life up until this year, and I actually moved away from home to Michigan. I moved away, not my whole family, just for the year to play hockey out there. So, and I've been watching the Penguins since 2006. That's when we got our season tickets.
Nice. Lex, you want to go ahead next?
So I started getting into hockey when I was about 9, and I saw the YMCA was going to start having deck hockey. So I started playing with them, and I played for about 6 years, and I was just about to try out for an actual deck hockey team, not like a gym hockey team, and I broke my ankle playing soccer. And then after that, I had a surgery a couple months later, and that was right at the beginning of the YMCA league, so I didn't play there. And then another year later, I had another surgery right at about the same time, so then I just stopped playing.
So for me, I also started playing at the YMCA. I was probably about 6 or 7, and then just played deck hockey all my life until 8th grade. So where I'm from, there's not a lot of hockey around because basketball and football dominate. So I had to go to a different high school to go play hockey. And my 8th grade year, I ended up playing varsity hockey as an 8th grader, which was the worst thing ever. I think we won 2 games. But stuck with it, and my junior and senior year started for my 3rd high school team that I played for. And we ended up making it to the playoffs, although we didn't do far. It was still cool to get that playoff experience. And now I'm playing D3 hockey up at Pitt. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So we're just going to jump right into it, get into a couple topics that we here have in mind. So let's start off with the Penguin series, obviously. Let's start with Game 1 against the Capitals. The Penguins came out with a 3-2 victory. Crosby getting 2 goals, and Nick Bonino got the game-winning goal. So if you guys want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, for I didn't get to see most of the game because unfortunately I had hockey tryouts and they always come at the worst time of the year. But I was able to catch the tail end. I saw Fleury's fantastic. I guess you could say flurry of saves. Stayed really calm, and that was actually quite impressive to watch. Even though a lot of people were mad it got blown dead, but they didn't know the ref blows it at his discretion. So whenever he loses sight of the puck, they all thought it had to be covered. And then Benino's goal, obviously it's his time of year. He always turns it up at the end of the year in playoffs, and he's more well worth the $1.9 million we're paying him. We probably could be paying him $4 million, and I'd still be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely one of those guys that once playoffs rolls around, his production goes up, and up. I know a lot of people during the season were hoping that he would get dealt. I know there was rumors around with Matt Duchene coming here. Hopefully Bonino would go, but for me, I'm a Bonino fan. He's a great two-way guy. He fits the third rule center perfectly. You know he's not going to take Malkin's spot for the second line, and you know he's not a fourth liner, so he fits that role perfectly. Yeah, definitely a playoff performer. Yeah.
So then for game 2, we won 6-2, right? Yeah, 6-2.
Yeah, 6-2.
We didn't come out as flat. Or we came out as flat, but we didn't finish as flat.
Yeah,
the rest of the game.
Second period is where the Penguins seem to shine. It's been that way all season. Fleury ended the game with 34 saves. The Capitals had a crazy amount of shot attempts, but guys like Ian Cole and Brian Dillon, leading the league, or leading the team in shot blocks, which was great to see.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed just on the whole shot attempts things and being outshot, in the Columbus series, more specifically when they were getting desperate, they just started throwing stuff. And that's actually a tactic that's used a lot of times. Not saying they're an inferior team, even though we did beat them, but when, you're having trouble getting something generated, hockey is a game of bounces. Bounces go, obviously, one way or the other during the game.
Yeah.
So you can get something, just throw a puck to the net, easily hit off a skate or something. Such as, I don't know if anyone here, because it's mostly Penguins fans, saw Adam Larsson's goal for the Oilers against the Ducks. Literally, the only thing they did wrong was they let him go to the outside, and he just threw a puck to the front of the net, banked off a skate, and went in. Obviously, they weren't having trouble generating offense that game, but it's still, anything can happen with bounces. So
definitely when you get a lane, throw the puck at the net, it's the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. Bounces happen all the time. So that was definitely something that the Capitals were doing, getting shot attempts, maybe not quality, but definitely quantity. So
Ian Cole did that too. I just remember Ian Cole did that. I remember hearing the announcers say everyone was yelling "shoot it" to Ian Cole on the last goal.
Yeah.
He literally just threw it to the net, and I'm not sure where it hit off on Malkin, but it looks like it took a bounce into the net. Thankfully, it was called a goal, even though it was called off at first.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but still, again, that's just saying.
So let's run through these goals real quick. So Matt Conley got the first goal, short-handed goal. He just makes a nice play on Shattenkirk at the point, and goes down and has honestly a really weak shot that Holtby should have.
Holtby should have that all day, especially if he's a Vezina contender, because it's the problem with that was his trailing leg didn't come down as quick as it should have. It's just goalie terminology here, but maybe the common fan will be able to kind of get what I'm saying here. When he slides across, Cullen beats him 5-hole because he didn't seal up soon enough. So he was there, he just didn't. It went through him.
Yeah, that's definitely a goal that Holtby would like to have back, and definitely his teammates. We've seen that a couple times, not only this year, but last year in the playoffs too, that Holtby has given up a couple goals that he definitely should have.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 goals from Kessel. The first one was a beautiful play by Crosby to set him up, and then an even better shot maybe. Goes down on Holtby. Not too much you can do about that. That's a Phil Kessel shot. That's a high-quality shot, so... One that he would like to have, obviously, but it's a great shot by Kessel.
And then Kessel's second one, obviously it was on the power play and it went 5. Grubauer should have had it, but obviously still Kessel in that in that range, we've seen him score a multitude of times just going 5-hole on goalies and just freezing them. Just because of the fact that, probably Toronto Maple Leafs Phil Kessel wouldn't be scoring 5-hole as much because he was not known as a playmaker back then. He led the Penguins in assists this year.
Yeah,
I'm not sure many people realize that, but on the power play, he is a versatile weapon now with his, playmaking that he wasn't known for before.
Yeah, as much as people give him flack for on the power play of him not hitting the net or, weak one-timers, he led the Penguins in power play points this year. He was up in the top 10 in the NHL. He was producing, he was setting up Crosby, setting up Malkin, but also, getting goals himself.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned that the second goal by Kessel was on Grubauer, so the Penguins chased Holtby in that second period. He did not play the third period, so you see Capitals coach kind of sending a message to Holtby right there.
Kind of, I don't think it's in teams respond differently when goalies are in net. I remember I was actually fortunate enough to go to one of the away games in Tampa last year. Not sure which one it was, but we did not win that one. And it was whenever Murray, it was like 4-0 after 2 periods. And not all of it was lying on Murray. Tampa got a lot of easy, lucky bounces just falling right to Tyler Johnson's stick. And they weren't generating offense. And at certain times, having a new goalie come in will just give a team, new life. And they put Fleury in. The Penguins made it 4-3 with 5 minutes to go and almost tied it up. And it's just sometimes teams, a change of scenery and such, gives them new life. And I think maybe he was trying to do that with Grubauer, but there's obviously a big difference between switching from Holtby to Grubauer, from Murray to Fleury.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of try to get his team going there a little bit, but that was obviously not the case. The first goal, or the first shot on Grubauer went in, that was that second Kessel goal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think that was a pretty poor decision to make. Because having someone like Holtby in net, he's a phenomenal goalie, obviously. It just wasn't his game. But whenever you pull a starting goaltender like Holtby, it really, I think it adds a negative tone to the game. Like, if I was a fan of the Capitals and they pulled Holtby, what kind of message is that sending? That they don't have faith in their starting goalie? And the game really didn't get any better after that. So I think it was just a poor decision.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean by that. They're kind of saying, all right, let's move on to Game 3. We're going to pick Grubauer and let Holtby clear his mind, and hopefully he's ready for Game 3.
Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know if that was, at the time, it was 3-1. We've seen, Penguins came down for 3-1 a lot of times. Obviously, Holtby did not look good. And, maybe Trotz was like, let's just get ready for Game 3. But if I also Trotz, I'm thinking, give...
It's 2 goals to tie it.
Yeah, give Holtby, force him to be, good. Sink or swim. Give him that chance. Because, obviously, and I don't know how much time, obviously, we're not in the locker room. Because I've had coaches tell me before that I'm, not getting the situation, but before, it was the other goalie's game to start, and he actually... did not want to play the game because it was a better team, and I was told a minute before the game that I was starting. So, and you prepare differently when you're knowing that.
Yeah,
so
definitely. There's definitely a different preparation.
Yeah, because Grubauer either could have had 15 minutes to warm up, or he could have had 2.
Yeah,
and it's much different weighing that there, because I could see why he got scored on the first shot, because he didn't see any shots when he got on the ice either. The only thing he could do was tennis ball work, racquetball work in the locker room, and that's still different than seeing a Phil Kessel wrist shot from the circle.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough task for Grubauer to come in. You think, when was the last time he played? He's not going to play in the playoffs because Holtby's the guy. So you think, when was the last time he got a start? So that's definitely rough for Grubauer coming in there. So we all think that Holtby's definitely the guy for Game 3. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah, so Game 3, what are you guys' predictions going forward?
I hope we're gonna win, and I don't have a solid prediction on the game because it could go either 2 ways. Both teams have their pros and cons. I remember the Caps saw something on Twitter that Barry Trotz did not let the media speak to the team today. So he could be just getting them in the mindset, get rid of the media, get rid of all the negatives. Like a lot of people in playoffs, they delete their social media apps because they just don't need to see that there, especially the higher up guys. Because you imagine how much hate someone like, Sidney Crosby, Holtby gets on their social media after, a good game or a bad game, or obviously a bad game if it's hate. But so they're going to come out with a purpose in Game 3, I'm assuming. But then again, the Penguins are rolling. You get home, back to the fans after winning 2 games. The atmosphere has to be insane there. It's definitely going to be, the Penguins have a really good atmosphere for playoffs. Just seeing the way other teams, I think, compare them to the Senators. The Senators did not even sell out their arena for a playoff game.
That's insane.
It's Ottawa. It's not like it's in Florida, Carolina. No, it's Ottawa.
Right.
It's in Canada, and they're not even selling out a game. Like that's not
kind
good.
of pitiful.
If I'm the Senators, I'm worried.
Yeah, you have teams like the Oilers, who for away games are selling $5 tickets for you to come into the arena and watch the game that sold out in 30 minutes. You have a team like Ottawa that can't even sell out a home playoff game, which they went up 2-0, and so congrats to them.
Yeah, and it's obviously the fan involvement, it gets a lot. It gets the players going, just not it gets them a sense of we got to do this for them. Let's get going, because I remember hearing I was actually fortunate enough to be at Game 5 as well last year in the Cup Finals. There was thousands of people outside, and you could tell the Penguins wanted to win that game. They came out very flat because the Sharks had a purpose. They were fighting for their lives, and the Sharks they came out flat. But I remember Russ saying at one point they flashed all the people outside, and all the players on the bench just looked at each other like, we got to do this. And they had that kind of mentality. Unfortunately, Martin Jones also had I got to do this mentality, and he shut them down the entire game. But still, it's just the fans back in the Penguins. I assume we're going to win Game 3. I could see us winning Game 3 and dropping Game 4 just because we got comfortable against Columbus last series in Game 4. And obviously we were away, so they have their fans behind them. But still, I could see us splitting the home games.
Yeah, I can see it going either way because the Capitals are the Capitals. But I definitely think it depends on how Fleury plays. Like, if Fleury doesn't bring his A game, our first periods for this postseason have been terrible. So if Fleury slips and lets a couple goals in the first period, not sure how it's going to go. The momentum's going to be kind of low. But knowing the Penguins' second period, how they play in the second period, I wouldn't doubt that we could come back from that. So I have faith that the Penguins will win tonight, or tomorrow night. But I definitely think we're going to split these games.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I think is super important for Game 3 coming in is the depth of both teams. So we know guys like Malkin, guys like Crosby and Kessel have been producing. Those guys are top in the league right now in points. And then guys on the other side, Backstrom, Ovechkin, TJ Oshie, they're getting the job done too. But the difference between the two teams so far has been you have guys like Rush and Sherry and Jake Gensel putting up points. And for the Capitals, the guys like Kuznetsov and Johansson and Ella and even Shattenkirk not doing what they should be doing. Kuznetsov and Johansson last game, they were a -3 both. Shattenkirk, he was a -2. Justin Williams, he was a -3. So there's a little bit of difference between two teams there where our role guys are producing where we expect them to, and those guys over there in Washington, they're not, they're relying on their top 3 guys to do everything for them.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Oshie, Kuznetsov, and Obi are all minus for their plus and minus so far for this postseason. So I find that a little shocking that they're not producing as well as they should.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people were getting on Shattenkirk for not playing well, and obviously he's not. But it could also be players succeed well in different systems. We saw with Perron in Pittsburgh, he was doing all right, but he wasn't doing what we paid a first-round pick for him. Like, he was not up to standards for that. So we trade him for Hagelin, and that year Hagelin does really well for us, and Perron succeeds in Anaheim. So a lot of times change of scenery, systems are all, differ how people play. Because, if they can't dictate. I think Ovi could dictate a team's style because he's Ovi, but Shattenkirk's not as big of a role in Washington.
Especially coming over at the deadline, only having a handful of games during the regular season, that's definitely a huge adjustment. But still, the caliber player he is, he needs to start producing more if the Capitals want to do better.
Mm-hmm. And just on players as well in the future games for this series, you've got to imagine being a Caps player and fan, how hard, especially a player, to get it out of the back of your head that we always blow this. Because they do. They always do well in the regular season. Not to harp on them, but they do. And they always, they did this last year. And you got to think, that's got to be knocking at the back of some players' heads. Like, not again. Not
this
again.
This is our year. We're all into this year.
Yeah.
You guys have guys like Carlson and players like that are up this year. TJ Oshie, they have to resign this year, and they're not going to have the money to afford everybody, so this is it for them.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, they might be a good team like next year, but they're, not going to re-sign Shattenkirk. They're not going to, or they could, but they're going to have to give up a lot of other players to re-sign Shattenkirk. So
do you sign Shattenkirk and let Oshie walk? Do you let Carlson walk? It's going to be an interesting off-season to be sure.
It will. Especially with the expansion, too. I don't know. I haven't looked in depth into their situation specifically, but there's a lot more teams that are going to want to move guys around, and they could leave someone open. I heard rumors that, Ottawa could leave Bobby Ryan or Phaneuf open, more specifically Phaneuf, because Phaneuf is $7 million in cap. Like, he'll be a good. He's not worth $7 million, but in Vegas, they're gonna need someone. Like, that's the expansion teams are gonna take.
They'll bring in those veteran guys, yeah.
They'll bring in guys that can get them going to the point where they'll eventually come, because they'll definitely be a bottom feeder for the league. Now, I'm assuming next year in the league, unless they just have some absolute turn of events.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see them doing too well.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think the series is gonna end? Do you think it's gonna end in 4 or 5? Do you think it's gonna go to 7?
I do not think it's going to go to 7. But 7. You never know. Crazier stuff has happened. I could see us closing it out in 5, but it always will depend on the way these games go. But because I was going to compare it to the situation when we won the Cup. We lost 2 in Detroit and won 2 at home. Granted, we lost on the road and won at home. It's kind of a different situation for the Caps where they're doing, with a different situation because they're going to have to do on the road. They're not going to have the support. They're not going to have the last change. But when teams have their backs against the wall, that's when you'll see them perform their best. However, last year again in Game 5, we had the Sharks, their backs on the wall, and they performed in the first period. But after that, we outperformed the entire game, and we just couldn't win.
Yeah.
So it's players like I would not be surprised if we still win the next game to see Holtby have an amazing game and Fleury have an amazing game and we win 2-1.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting because both teams have players that can just steal the game. We have guys obviously Crosby, Malkin, and then they have some guys over there like Justin Williams. Gonna call him Mr. Game 7. You never know what he's gonna do. He plays big in big games, so that's a guy that can win you a series. For me personally, I like to see it in 6. That's how I still see. I don't think the Capitals are going to go down that easily. I think 6 is a reasonable number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to see it in 5. I think that'd be nice, but I feel like it's going to go 6 games. I think we'll win on Monday, then lose our second home game, and then win it in Washington.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't. Just a little side note, I wouldn't be surprised if we do lose one game at home to see our fan base act like we just blew the entire playoffs.
Yeah,
just
that
because
would not be surprising.
I always say this quote because, and honestly, most Penguins fans probably have been fans since we got Crosby. A lot of teams, when teams start doing well, more of the fans emerge, and it's general, and they'll get hit on for bandwagons, but it happens to every single team.
Yeah.
Florida had fans when they're doing well, now they don't. But it's it's kind of hard to win every playoff series in 4 or 5 games because, believe it or not, the other team actually wants to win too. Believe it, it's the playoffs. But fans expect a lot. I also wouldn't be surprised if we would sweep it, but then again, it's the Capitals, not the Blue Jackets. There's a difference.
I think
there's a difference.
Anything can happen.
Alright, so let's go into the other series, not Penguin series. We're starting the East. The Rangers are down 2-0 against the Senators. The Senators had a huge game last night, won it in overtime, and up 2-0 in that series. They won a double overtime, 6-5. So,
JGP with the 4 goals.
Yeah, Pajot with a 4-goal night. That was awesome to see. How do you guys think that that series is gonna shape out? I don't know if you guys have seen much of it or.
I watch when I can. I'd like to see the Rangers win. I'm not sure why. I just found myself cheering for the Rangers, but I feel like the Sens are gonna take it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I like the Senators a lot. I don't know why. Carlson's just amazing to watch. A guy like Bobby Ryan, I really like. He gets a lot of hate around the league, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of him. He has a cool story. So yeah, I like to see the Rangers get it, or I like to see the Senators get it. Sorry, but the same thing with the Penguin series. The Rangers have some guys that can steal. Like if Lundqvist plays up to his capability, he can get you a couple wins right there.
I think the Sens will take it. I think it'll be in 6 games. I'd see it 6, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go to 7, just because the Rangers are going back to home ice. Granted, MSG is actually known for not having a crazy environment compared to places such as Edmonton, other teams, Chicago. Those are known for having really good home environments. Like the fans actually give it an advantage. But I could see the Rangers actually even the series, or at least winning one at home. But
yeah.
I think that'll go to 6.
I think it's a really tight series, but I just feel like the Rangers are gonna lose, even though I want them to win.
I do know if Anderson does not play up to his. I mean, he's not he's a good goalie, but he's not Holtby Price level.
Right.
So he's very susceptible to having a breakdown. And that's the only thing that worries me is, Anderson's good, but he's not I don't know if he's Stanley Cup good.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the West. Today, the Predators beat the Blues 3-1, and they take a 2-1 series lead in that series. So, what do you guys think about that series going on right now?
I haven't really watched this series that much, but I am a Preds fan, so I am hoping the Preds pull through and win.
I'm gonna say Preds in 7. I kind of like, I'm not a fan of either team, but I like them. I don't despise them like I despise the Caps and the Flyers. I like the Blues because Brodeur went there for a little and he was my favorite goalie. But I also like the Preds because it's nice to see a team doing well, and just they have Subban, who apparently is a bad influence, even though he's not. He gets a little side subject too. Mike Mulberry is not a fan of Subban for dancing in warm-ups, just a little, but he is okay with himself throwing a shoe at a fan.
Anyway.
Anyway, side note, they're both good teams. Jake Allen is either really good or really bad. That's what doesn't have me convinced. I could actually easily see the Preds going to the finals. The only problem is they're going to have to get through the Ducks or the Oilers, and they have not played a team up to the Ducks and Oilers caliber. You could say the Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks lost 5 of 6 going into the playoffs, and they just were not themselves. The Ducks and Oilers are looking like themselves, and it's that I could see that game going to 7 as well. Those series.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of Nashville. I've watched a couple of their games so far. I like what they do. They have this neutral zone trap that they run a lot, and that's where Chicago found trouble. They couldn't get the puck out of the neutral zone, and they were scoring a lot of goals off the rush. So teams are having trouble getting the puck into the zone and getting quality shots on Pekka. So I like to see Nashville get it. I think they take it in 6. But you never know. A guy like Tarasenko, if he gets hot, he can go off and score a couple goals for the Blues.
Yeah,
Sabatka too.
Game two, Tarasenko.
Yeah, he led that
game-winning goal. Game was almost about to go into overtime. I was excited, and then Tarasenko, of course, he comes in, game-winning goal.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see a couple teams that will make it to the finals that we haven't seen recently. So that's cool to see some new teams kind of beating the Blackhawks and making that next step forward. So let's quickly take a look at the Oilers and the Ducks series. Right now that game is going on. The Oilers are losing 3-1 at the end of the first, but they are up 2-0 in the series. So this is the first game back at the Rogers place. What do you guys think of that series so far?
Cam Talbot's been huge. and I just remember reading something about how the Ducks outchanced, outshot Oilers and all this. But the thing is, they both have good goalies. Gibson's finally looking like, like he is supposed to be. Because in last year in the playoffs, he was not good. Now he's back up, he's playing like he is. I mean, in the future, he's, in my opinion, definitely going to be a top 5 goalie. Just with the way it is, he's proven himself. But Tawa's playing well as well. And both teams came into the playoffs generally hot. The Ducks went on some crazy streak, but I'm a Ducks fan too. I'm trying to keep bias out of this. Obviously, I'd love to see the Ducks move. I'd love to see the Ducks move on, but I wouldn't mind to see the Oilers too. They're another team that I don't mind. But the fact that the Ducks were able to go up 3-0 and then now 3-1 in Rogers Place is kind of saying that they're still willing to fight. Like, they're not deterred by losing 2-1 home ice.
Yeah, definitely. So anyone who knows me or follows me on Twitter knows I'm a huge Oilers fan. I've been an Oilers fan since as long as I can remember. The funny story, the reason why I'm an Oilers fan is because everyone knows that famous missed empty net goal that the Dallas Stars had against the Oilers, and then they went down the other way and Alex Dempsey scored a goal. I was like, this is the greatest hockey player ever. Like, I love this guy because this just happened. So that's how I became an Oilers fan. So ever since then. But yeah, it's great to see them doing well. They're doing a lot of things well. Players like Patrick Maroon, they did not expect to perform as well as he is. That's kind of the role that they hoped Lucic would take on, playing with McDavid. But Lucic is playing well with Nugent Hopkins and Eberle. So it's definitely
and just.
Go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead. I was going to
ahead.
give something. I was going to give a side note that's not related to the series, but it's Penguins related. So you can finish up the series talk.
Yeah, for me as an Oilers fan, obviously I like to see them go on. I think this one's going to go deep. I think it could go 7, even though the Oilers are up right now. But you never know what team is going to play for the Oilers. They had that 7-0 game against the Sharks in the first round. And then, follow that up with back-to-back shutouts for themselves. So, still kind of unproven, but for the most part, what you're going to get out of them. You're going to get the speed of McDavid. You're going to get the goaltending from Talbot. You're going to get the goals from Draisaitl. So, it'll be fun to see. It's definitely an entertaining series.
But other side news, unfortunately for the Penguins, Wilkes-Barre Scranton right now just got eliminated from the playoffs. They lost 2-1 to the Providence Bruins. They did. They lost the series. I don't know how far they're going to go because we kind of took their starting goalie and a lot of their better players. So, but still, I believe Providence is one of the better teams in the league. It's actually a best of 5 series, so they won 3-2.
Oh, okay.
But it was 2. Oh, so this was the last game. I didn't know that. So it was the last game, but still, the fact that we were able to take away. Actually, all we have for you today, we wanted to keep this one short and sweet just to give you guys a sample size. Obviously, let us know the feedback you have for us, good or bad. We'd love to hear it. And we'll see you guys next week.